Graduation weekend always turned people loose inside my town. Parents were usually out of town like they usually were on the weekends, which meant my house ended up being the place. It wasn't anything special, but it turned into a madhouse. It was just kind of known that if my parents weren't home, there'd probably be a party. I wasn't trying to build a reputation or anything, it just kind of happened that way. And graduation night ended up being a perfect excuse. I stocked up on beer, pulled a couple of bottles from my dad's cabinet, and made sure there was weed around so nobody got bored or edgy. Word got out fast. People showed up early, then more people, then people I didn't recognize but didn't hold up or anything. The backyard filled to the point of bursting, then in the kitchen, then in the living room. Music got crazy loud. Somebody dragged furniture around to make the room to dance and slapbox and wrestle. I spent most of my night walking through the house keeping an eye on things, making sure nobody broke anything, making sure nobody was really fighting. Control gave me this little relief on those wild nights. Just because my parents were out of town didn't mean they didn't care about their property. And that's when I took notice of 3 juniors. They stood out because they kind of looked young. Not loud or annoying, just clearly not seniors. One of them was Adam Pratt. I knew him from algebra. He sat behind me and occasionally asked for help with assignments, or sometimes he would even help me. "Congrats, man," he said when he saw me, lifting up his beer. "Thanks, you guys good?" "Yeah, we're good, just cutting loose a little." The other 2 nodded. They seemed just as excited to be here. I thought about telling them in the moment they needed to head out. It crossed my mind, but Adam wasn't causing any problems, and it felt petty to kick him out, at least right now. It was graduation. Everybody was celebrating. I didn't want to be that guy. And reasons I wanted them to leave were personal and pretty much superficial. I just didn't want them getting caught up if anything went sideways. So I ended up letting them stay. At the time, it was nothing, just another small decision inside a night full of chaos. Thinking back now, I know I fucked up. The 3 of them left around 1 in the morning. It was a wind-down phase. People were starting to trickle out, fall asleep in the corners or on the couch, or slinging shots in an effort to black out before it was finally over. Somebody had climbed over the counter in the kitchen to dance and spit bars. Another guy was arguing with his girlfriend in the driveway. All I could think about was the cleanup. Adam found me near the back door. "Hey man, we're gonna head out." The other 2 were behind him, already wobbling, grinning with that drunken glow. Adam raised his drink higher. "Congrats to all the seniors. Seriously, you fuckers earned it this year. Thanks for all the laughs and the guidance, the pressure and the fun. Here's to you." A few people by cheered. Somebody was clapping. Adam tipped his beer all the way back and finished it, then crushed the can against his forehead. Even more cheers followed that. The other 2 followed suit. They grabbed their bikes from the side yard and rolled them out toward the street. "You guys riding?" I asked with a laugh. "Yeah, it's fine," one of them said, half leaned over. They pushed off down the block laughing, swerving a little as they disappeared off into the dark. I remember thinking it was dumb, but also kind of funny. 3 drunk kids pedaling through a quiet town. Reminded me of my own high school years. Then went back inside and stopped thinking about them entirely. I didn't really sleep much. That was kind of unusual after a party. The house smelled like beer and sweat. People crashed wherever they could. Couches, floors, the basement. I finally passed out just before sunrise, after filling up a few trash cans with wrappers and beer cans, as well as about 500 red Solo cups. I woke up to my phone buzzing next to me. By the time I looked at it, there was already a ton of missed calls and texts. Group chats were lighting up, names I recognized relaying my perfect nightmare. "Did you hear? Something's wrong. Some kid didn't make it home last night." I sat up quickly in bed, still half drunk, trying to make sense of it. At first, I assumed it was nothing. Somebody crashed somewhere. Someone's parents were freaking out a little early. It happened all the time. Kids got drunk, stumbled the wrong way, and slept it off in the woods. It even happened to me. And then as I'm reading the messages, I hear sirens outside, and by mid-morning, it was everywhere. Adam's parents had reported him missing. The 2 boys he left with told the same story to anybody who asked. They were riding home. Adam fell behind. When they turned around, he was gone. They circled the block, rode back and forth calling his name for at least an hour. They said they heard a yelp, like a dog, one of them told people, or a coyote or something, but they eventually just went home. Around noon, I got a knock at my door. 2 cops were standing on my porch, one older and one younger, both calm and polite. "You the homeowner?" The older one asked me. My parents are," I said. "They're out of town, though. Heard there was a party here last night." "Yeah." They asked me to walk him through it, who was here, how late it went, if I knew Adam Pratt, if I saw him leave. "Yeah, he left around 1 with 2 other guys on bikes. I walked them out and everything." "Were they drinking?" "Yeah, they were." "Any problems between him or anybody else?" "No, not at all. Everybody was cool. There wasn't any issues." They asked me to vouch for the people who'd been there, and I did my best. I told them the truth. It was a big party. People came and went, but nobody was fighting. Nobody singled Adam out. Nobody had a reason to hurt him or have anything against him. The younger cop was writing everything down, and for some reason, it just made me nervous as hell. The older one just kind of nodded along. Right now, we're assuming he's either wandered off drunk or something happened after he left. We're trying to establish a timeline. We're not here to arrest you or anything like that." They thanked me and then left. I stood there in the doorway long after they were gone, just watching the empty street. The house was quiet, but the street felt electric. I told myself, it's just a missing kid. He'll turn up embarrassed and just hung over. Still, cars and pedestrians patrolled every street, and by late afternoon, the town was crawling. Cars were moving at a snail pace. People stood in small groups on the sidewalk and the gas station, asking everybody that came by if they've seen this boy. Adam's picture then started circulating online. School photo, awkward smile. Volunteers gathering up at the edge of town where the fields were chopped away towards the drainage ditches and culverts that fed into the creek. I stayed home, had a party to clean up after, and I was still kind of in that denial phase. And that's when the cops came back. This time, there was 3 of them, and they weren't smiling. The older officer asked if we could talk outside, so I stepped out on the porch, my stomach fully ready to upchuck everything inside it. "We found Adam's bike," he said to me. I waited and looked at him. "It was in your dumpster." I laughed. I knew right away that was the wrong thing to do, and the cops stared at me for any kind of further reaction. That's not possible. I haven't gone anywhere." He didn't react. "The dumpster, out by the curb, the one right in front of your house?" They showed me pictures. Twisted frame, bent wheels. The front fork was cracked like it had been run over by a train or some kind of big truck. "I didn't put that there," I said. "I never left my house." "Look, we believe you," the younger cop said, "but that's why we need to ask a few more questions." They asked who stayed the night, who left late, if anybody might have come back to the party, if anybody had a reason to hide something in my trash. I didn't have any answers for them. They asked to search the house. I hesitated, and then I said, "Yeah, sure." I didn't want it to look like I had something to hide. All I wanted was to get all of this out of the way before my parents got home the next day. So they went room to room, opening doors, checking closets. One of them, of course, found my weed stash in the shoebox under my bed. He looked at it, looked at me, then closed the lid. "That's not what we're here for," he said. They didn't find anything else. After they left, I sat on my bed, trying to replay the whole night. Every face, every conversation, every moment that I wasn't really paying attention. I started to wonder if somebody from the party followed Adam and those others out, if somebody saw some kind of opportunity. That night, searchlights swept the field. Dogs barked off in the distance. I didn't sleep at all. I kept envisioning a helicopter banking out of the cloudy night, circling my house with a spotlight. They found Adam 2 days later. There's a sinkhole in a field on the edge of town, half hidden by tall grass. It led down into this old drainage pipe system that ran under the road. His body had been pushed and turned by the water, and it made things unclear. Hard to say exactly what injuries came from the fall and what might have happened before that. The official explanation? He stopped to take a piss by that field. It was dark, didn't see the hole, and then plummeted 20 or 30 feet, hit his head, and died. An accident, but not everybody bought it. People continued to talk about the bike, how smashed it was, about the rumor that somebody saw a car stopped on the bridge that night, trunk open, bike laying in the road, a hit and run. Somebody panicked, somebody tried to clean it up. But nothing ever came from it. The case closed quietly. Adam became a story people just told and talked about. Some blamed the party, of course, blaming me. Some blamed the town, drunk drivers, psychos. My parents never allowed me to host a party ever again. I graduated and left town a few months later. And to this day, I carry that survivor's guilt about what happened to Adam everywhere I go. Sometimes I think back about that toast, about Adam lifting up his beer, smiling. Not just that night ahead of him, but his entire life for the taking. I think about how he rode off, about how easy it was for the dark to swallow him up. Rest easy, man.